Hello again, guys, welcome back to the channel. It is Comic Kid here again, and today I am just super stoked out of my mind. We have the McFarlane Batman Beyond DC Multiverse Target exclusive action figure here with us today, and I could not be more excited to have him. Now, I was fortunate enough to track him down at one of my local Targets, and it is going to pain me to open him up today. He's going for like 80 bucks online or something like that, and I'm not a scalper, so I only grabbed the one, but that doesn't mean it's gonna hurt just a little bit to still open him up here for y'all today. But super excited to have him here. I'm still gonna track down the alternate version, which literally just comes with an alternate head, an alternate Batarang, and no Build-A-Figure part, but I have not been able to find that version yet. So, now for a bit of background, in case you don't recognize this design, Batman Beyond was actually originally created as a cartoon in a sort of sequel to the New Adventures of Batman, the animated series. The show ran for a few seasons, and despite the fact that Terry was an all-new character created for the show, it was an immensely popular TV show. And this is honestly like one of my personal favorite designs for Batman in general. I absolutely love this suit, and I even have the symbol tattooed on my back. So yeah, I am just... any Batman Beyond anything that I come across, I usually try and pick up, and we will see how he compares to two other figures that I have with me here today. Now, in terms of the basic overall package, it is a standard McFarlane package here. You can see just the info, nothing too special about that. Like with all their figures that come with a Build-A-Figure piece, it is a bit wider than average, so there is that to consider as well. But aside from that, it's just some pretty basic standard packaging. So we'll go ahead and crack him open for you guys and get started. Alrighty guys, now here he is out of the box and in all his glory, and just look at this figure. I absolutely love everything about it. Now, we're gonna start with the accessories here real quick. As you can see, he comes with some open, or I guess kind of semi-closed palm hands. And these especially are gonna be great for holding these Batarangs. And I love the sculpt of these things. Like, they just look like they're pulled straight out of the TV show. I love the like small tech little moldings in there, and just everything about them just screams Batman Beyond. And so I just love the sculpt of the hands and the Batarangs. Now, as usual, he comes with his DC base, and for a character with wings, I am surprised that McFarlane didn't go for one of the plastic, like, flying bases, like the ones that came with Superman and stuff like that, just because he's got wings, and as far as I know, you cannot detach the wings either, and so I'm just a little surprised that he comes with a flat base. Now, there was a little bit of speculation as to whether or not this was the Terry McGinnis or Tim Drake version of Batman Beyond. McFarlane did say that it was based off the comic books, and just before the DC Rebirth event, Tim Drake was actually the star of Batman Beyond. That said, the character card over here does in fact confirm that it is Terry McGinnis. And so there is that. I always kind of assumed it'd be Terry myself, but now as far as the Build-A-Figure piece goes, this is a robotic version of Batman who has been robotically combined with a version of Joker. And essentially Brother Eye in the future, an AI created by Batman, does, you know, go rogue, take over the planet, forces everyone to become robots, etc. Now, these are actually some of the rotating shoulder pieces that belong inside the joints of the figure, but without the arms there, they are too loose and do not sit on their own, so I will have to leave them out until like Shriek and Batwoman and Blight come out, because whoever has the arms in this series is gonna be what holds those pieces in. But that is it as far as the accessories for the figure go, so we will now go ahead and dive into the figure itself. Now in terms of articulation, it's a pretty standard McFarlane figure, but we'll start with the sculpt and paint. I absolutely love the sculpt on this guy. He's nice and slender. The face, I just love how the mask kind of flattens out. McFarlane does have another version where it's got like the lips and stuff sculpted in, but I mean, if you're going for a realistic take, I think this would be a great way to do Batman Beyond, especially in like live action at Warner Brothers. That said, even the boots down there have a little bit of sculpting just to give the like jet propulsors on him a little bit of extra texture. And so if you do get the other version that does have the flames coming out of the bottoms, then it is interchangeable with this figure as well. I also really liked the sculpting on the gauntlets there. Just that little bit of extra texture just really kind of gives him a futuristic feel and all that. So all around, A+ sculpt. Even the wings like fit appropriately and all that. If anything, I'd have liked some black paint on the backs of them, just because that's kind of how it is in the show. But I'm not too broken up about it. It's not like you're really gonna see him from the back anyways. And so yeah, really the only paint issue I notice is on his belt there. There's just this tiniest speck of gray where I don't know if that's a scratch or not, but that's really the only paint error that I've found on this guy. Everything else appears to be perfectly fine. And then I really love the all black finish. I think everything just matches super well, and McFarlane did say they were going to try and make the symbol as glossy as possible, and I think they did a phenomenal job in that regard as well. So overall, this is a wonderful sculpt, and I am just super happy to have him. Like, McFarlane really knocked it out of the park in this sculpt. Now, as far as articulation goes, it's your pretty standard McFarlane joints and stuff. The legs come up almost to a great 90-degree angle. You got some nice bendable double jointed knees there. You do have a ball joint down in the ankle and stuff like that, and that will spin. And you have the wings that are actually posable. Now, the only thing I think McFarlane could have done better is make the wings removable. All other Batman Beyond figures that I own have removable wings, and so I really don't get why he chose not to make them removable, but they do have a great shelf presence. Look how wide they go there. And I do love how the wings themselves are posable. If you have the animated series ones, the wings technically are posable, but in a really weird way. And then if you have the Mattel one from like 2-3 years back, those wings aren't posable at all. You can like rotate them in the peg on the back, but that is about it. So I do love the like rotating wings in this. I just wish that they were removable. Now, the only other thing I find a little awkward is these holes in there. McFarlane did sculpt an additional bit along the arms with this fin here, which does stand out from the others. I don't know why they just didn't make the sculpt so that it's, you know, compatible with the wings that, or the fins that are already there, but they didn't. That said, I also don't think the pegs in the wings are all that necessary, because it's not like a normal cape for Batman Beyond. He just kind of shoots them out and goes, and so I don't think attaching the wings to the arm in any way is all that necessary. But it's still a minor thing, and so I'm not too broken up about it. It really doesn't stand out all that much. And then from there you have a decent ab crunch. I've seen worse in figures. You have double jointed elbows, and there. You do have ball wrists like usual, which actually get some pretty good range if I do say so myself. You do have some butterfly shoulders that give it just that extra little oomph. And you have a standard shoulder joint as well. Now, as y'all kind of saw already, I was kind of struggling with this. It is really stiff, and I'm kind of worried that I'm gonna snap the arm peg off. So we'll see how that works out over time. But it is there, it does work, might just need to loosen it up. And then lastly, there's the head here, to the side, other side, up, down. All around, just a great head sculpt and some pretty dynamic range in there as well. So overall, I think this is just a really, really solid figure from McFarlane all around. Now, as I mentioned, I do have other figures to compare him to. And so first up is the Mattel one from a few years back. Now, obviously, one of the more immediate things is that the McFarlane one is significantly taller than what we got from Mattel by literally like a whole head and ears. Now, Terry can be a bit of a shorter character if you want him to, just because he's a bit younger, but I never really imagined him as short. And so I definitely think that given their scales, the McFarlane one is still an appropriate height. But the Mattel one is also an appropriate height for its scale as well. Now, obviously, the McFarlane one has the Mattel one beat out in terms of articulation, but in terms of general sculpt, I could see someone preferring the Mattel one. It is a little bit more faithful to the cartoon. You have the sculpted mouth, the removable wings, etc. Now, in terms of accessories, the Mattel one did come with some wings and some batarangs. It came with an absurd number of batarangs and just some of the worst Batman Beyond wings I think I could imagine. And so between the two, I definitely gotta give it to McFarlane. But I do think this Batman Beyond is still an improvement from the first one Mattel did as part of their DC Universe line, and so I don't hate the Mattel one, but I'm definitely gonna swap him out with the McFarlane one on my shelf. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's also the actual Batman Beyond one, which DC did as part of their animated series line back when DC Direct was still a thing. And so this is really a solid figure in my opinion. The Bruce Timm art style is really hard to capture perfectly and still retain a lot of the articulation, and so I think this one did a really good job given what they had to work with. He did come in a technically 3-pack with an older Bruce Wayne and Ace as well, and despite the size of him, I really think this is also a just solid Batman Beyond figure. If you want something that is literally pulled straight from the TV show, then I would highly recommend this one if you can find it. This one also came with a great number of accessories. You have hands out the wazoo, batarangs out the wazoo, and some truly exceptional removable batarangs, and this was that kind of weird joint that I was talking about earlier. I don't quite get why they decided to articulate them in that manner. But between these two here, I would say that both of them make an argument for the best Batman Beyond figure to date. But that is everything that I have for you guys today. As always, be sure to stick around for some photos at the end. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button, it definitely helps out the channel. And one last thing before I go, be sure to check out my friends over at True Criminals Podcast. If you guys like podcasts and want a true crime podcast unlike any other, then yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to go check them out. They're hilarious guys, and I did give them a hand on this in terms of like editing and stuff, and so be sure to check them out as well. But that is everything I have for you guys today. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all again real soon.